go.
Hey everyone. Hey everyone. Welcome to Rockhound Talk Live, the only live Rockhound podcast on Facebook and YouTube. So welcome. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm doing all right, Amber. I've been pretty busy. Unfortunately, not rockhounding that much, but that's okay.
Yeah, I still was able to squeeze some in today. It was a bit hot for me for some odd reason, even though it wasn't that hot out today. I felt like it. And we got some good stuff today. Let's see, we could see here, maybe.
Oh,
So,
is that calcite?
yeah, this is a smaller piece. I was able to, we got some pretty big ones. And then brachiopod there that has, it's pyritized. Yeah, it's more of a red pyrite. But yeah, and some other stuff here in the area where I live. So just needed to get out there and collect a bit. I try to at least once a week. So at least I
Yeah.
try. It doesn't always happen, but I try. So you're still getting everything ready at home and all that stuff?
Yes, yeah. Unfortunately, I've been so busy with work, I haven't even been able to unpack. Like, I've got so many boxes of rocks and minerals and fossils and all sorts of stuff that I've got now empty display cases moved into my house that have nothing in them. So I'm hoping this weekend I'm going to be able to go through and get a whole bunch of stuff. I also started to go through back in May. I did a trip to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan for some copper minerals, and
Yeah.
so I've got some copper that I've gotten the first round of cleaning from one of the mines. I've got that done, so
So
that's
tell me,
also
how do
in
you clean
progress.
copper? And because isn't it sensitive to water or no?
Well, I just did a quick rinse with water just to get the dirt off, and then
Okay.
depends on what it is. So the Copper Country Rock and Mineral Club, which is the ccrmc.org, I believe is their website. They actually have an interesting article on their website of cleaning with sulfamic acid.
Okay.
We did a joint field trip with them, and one of the people from their club mentioned some of the cleaning things. And so I found some really nice things. Like, I found a chisel chip. So, for those that don't know, back in the 1800s, you couldn't just transport a huge, massive piece of copper. You had to chisel it down to smaller pieces. And what they would do is when they would try to get smaller, sometimes you would have like if you were to chisel anything that's soft, you might have like a sliver that came off. And I actually found a piece of that. And they told me it's rare, and so don't clean it with sulfamic because it could actually damage the copper.
Oh,
It's sulfamic's more of like if you have a bunch of pieces, you can just throw it in and not worry about it.
okay.
So they told me to actually use just soap and water to clean
Okay.
it. Other pieces that are maybe not quite as fragile, but a little bit, sort of in between, I've been told to use vinegar to try to get some of the calcite and
Okay.
things off.
Okay.
But then to go, like, if you've got a whole bunch of them, you can use sulfamic acid. There's also I've heard of a thing called copper bright, which is for like
Okay.
copper,
Like
um,
polishing?
yeah. So if you have like copper, like
Is
decorative
it,
things that you need to
yeah.
polish,
Yeah.
yeah, you can use things like that. I haven't been able to find it anywhere, so I'll need to kind of look around for that. But yeah, it's on my list. I've got all these chemicals. I also bought a half face respirator, so I don't have to wear. I have a full face I wear for work when I'm around dangerous chemicals and different things. So I've got a half face now that I can use for using different acids and things, especially if I'm in a basement of a
Yeah.
house where
Indoors.
some of the
Yeah.
vapors might be.
Yeah. Toxic for sure. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So tonight we have Kelsey Darnold tonight. She's going to talk to us a bit about her journey and lapidary work. She is a lapidary artist that went viral on TikTok and we're gonna hear about her story. And I've got questions because I am trying to perfect my rock tumbling, so I want to pick her brain a bit. And anyone else who is trying to perfect their tumbling definitely will benefit from tonight's show. And so that's what we'll be talking about tonight. And Ben, you've got some questions prepared as well. So
Yeah,
wanna-
yeah, yeah. And if anyone else has some questions too, feel free to drop them in the comments
yes,
now. We'll get to them throughout the show. So make sure to do that as
yeah,
well.
and we'll shout out Mineral Monsters. Thanks for watching. Hey Suze, thanks for joining, and Everett, thanks for watching, guys. And I think Mike might my friend that I went collecting with. I think he might be on the show tonight. So shout out to Mike if you're watching and you just haven't chimed in. So
Great.
should we bring Kelsey on?
Yeah, yeah, we can go ahead and get started here a little bit early. That's great.
Hello. I was
Hi.
enjoying the show.
Welcome. This is Kelsey Darnold. She is our guest tonight. She is a Lapidary artist and a sensation on TikTok. So, welcome. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm so excited to be here. It's nice to meet you, Ben.
Yes, yeah, I wasn't able to do the pre-interview. I've been so busy with work. So yeah, nice to meet you.
So, tell us, how long have you been on TikTok?
I think, it really started either right before COVID hit or right at the beginning. I feel like it may have been a COVID project. I've always been a rockhound since childhood, but the rock tumbler, I think I got my inspiration actually to try from TikTok. And, after a few months of just sharing like rockhounding videos, I did, like by state videos, minerals that they could find in their state. And I did rock tumbling videos, and after a few months it just kind of grew into something, and ever since then it's just been a whirlwind.
So you said you got started when you were a kid. Like, how did that start? Was it something that like your parents were into, or you just started picking up rocks, or you saw like someone else do it? Like, how did that get started?
For sure, definitely got that from my mom. I was just always picking up any kind of fossils. I live in Southern Illinois, so we don't have a whole lot to offer because I'm not near the good fluorite. Guys hear me?
Oh. Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Looks like we lost Amber.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, we don't have a whole lot to offer in Southern Illinois as far as rock hounding, but I've always made the best of it. And, having a tumbler makes it even more fun because it can make average looking rocks beautiful. But yeah, I started picking up fossils and things as a kid. I still remember the first time I found a piece of quartz. It was in a little geode, and I thought it was a diamond, and I took it home so excited. I'm like, Mom, I found a diamond. She's like, no, honey, that's not a diamond.
Great. So you said you're not near the fluorite then on the Kentucky border. You're
Right.
not that far south. Okay.
Nope. Yeah, the area I'm in, there really is not much fossils. I can find a lot of fossils. I need to get out and do some more rock hounding like Amber has been this summer. I bet you too, Ben. I don't know you as well, so I don't know what you've been up to this summer.
Well, I did. I was actually the field trip leader for the trip that Amber went on, where we went out to New Jersey and did some fluorescent minerals, and then a couple of us stayed after and looked for some fossils.
Right.
I didn't find any, unfortunately, but everyone else found some sharks, some Cretaceous age shark teeth, which was kind of cool.
Oh yeah. I need more rock hounding trips in the near future for sure. Now, especially that it's cooling down where I'm at, I don't have any major, places to go rock hounding. But I have been to Cadet, Missouri to Haunted Ridge Rocks, and that was a lot of fun. And I think Arkansas might be my next stop, if not Haunted Ridge again.
Yes, I'm hoping to go down to Haunted Ridge before it gets too cold. Um,
Yes.
like just it's like 8 hours. I just want to take a weekend because I've yet to make it there, and they've got some gorgeous, like just like the agate, lace agate, and the druzy. It's just
Mhm.
it's fantastic. So it's on
Yeah.
my list for sure. And you're not too far from there, are you?
No, no, I can get there. I was thinking it was something like a 4-hour drive, so
4 hours?
it's not so bad.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
more than worth it. I mean, you can take home buckets full of that
yeah.
Missouri lace agate, and it's not only beautiful because of the druzy that's all over it, it has lapidary value. I actually, sliced some of it up and cabbed it, and it made beautiful cabs too. And I've
That's
tumbled it. So,
That's what I
Oh
was gonna
wow.
just ask you. Can you do that?
yeah,
Can you yeah, so
yeah,
you've done that successfully. Nice.
yes, yep.
So I my was having some microphone dysfunction, so I didn't hear. Did you tell just backing up, did you tell us kind of how you got started um into this
Yes,
whole journey?
yeah, it's just started out mostly collecting fossils. Ben can probably tell me. I can never remember how it's pronounced. Is it crinoid or crinoid fossils?
I've always been told it's a crinoid.
Okay,
Okay,
so
I say
that was what
crinoid, so
started it.
crinoid.
I find it so funny on all the minerals and everything. Everyone pronounces
Has
it
yes,
differently.
they totally do. They totally do. So you started your TikTok journey, during COVID, which is interesting when I talk to different guests. So many of them started their journey, during COVID. And it's really
Hmm.
good to see people like, they have all this extra time and it was not a good time for any of us and able to find, positive in that. So good for you. And so you started
Yes.
off on TikTok and
Hmm.
you had some few viral videos and
Yeah.
tell us a bit about that.
Oh, it was just a normal rock tumbling video that I had posted, and that's how it is on TikTok. You just never know when it's going to happen, and once
Yeah.
it does, the growth on the platform for your account is just crazy. Um, when that happened and I gained so many followers, it was kind of hard to believe. I'm like, do all these people really want to see what I'm up to? But then I had luck on YouTube and even Instagram. I'm like, wow.
That's
No,
awesome.
yeah, I think getting that rock tumbler is one of the best choices I ever made because since getting started in Lapidary and finding my community because there is not a lot of people like me in my area. It has changed my life. Absolutely
Let's
changed my life.
Yeah, but
Wow.
before we get too far from this, let's I think you sent the video, one of the videos that you've taken. Let's watch one of the videos.
Yeah. So this was the video that did go really viral, and I did have to mute it because it had music on it. But just mind blowing
Gorgeous.
that it's just mind blowing that a rock tumbling video could get that many views.
But I mean, yeah, 12
They are
million.
beautiful. They are beautiful, but it's still shocking to
Yes.
me.
I mean, but
So
that polish is fantastic.
so I this does kind of go into one of the questions I had. I noticed in the beginning of this video that you had some white plastic beads.
Hmm.
I've talked to some people about like some of the rock tumbling tips, I guess, and different things. Some people that I've talked to have said plastic beads. Some people say don't use beads, use ceramic
Ceramic.
pieces. I've even talked to some people that say don't use anything, get really small agates, and then use that as your filler,
It's
and
an
then just keep
awesome,
using them.
yeah.
So
I've
what I
tried,
guess, yeah,
yeah,
what
I've
do you
tried
recommend?
all of those techniques. That video was taken well over a year or two ago. So my technique is a little different. And I usually finish stage 3 and 4 with ceramics. And for the stage 1 and 2, I don't use ceramics or pellets or anything because I think it slows down the grinding process in your rock tumbler. I found if I like you said, if I need a little filler, I'm just going to go get, who has the perfect things for filler. Rough Stone Rocks has these little carnelian nodules. They're like pea-sized and a little bit bigger. If I need filler, that's what I'm going to use, because why waste the space in your rock tumbler, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what tumbler do you use? What's the brand?
So I use 3 different types, actually. I use Lortone 33B, a Chicago Electric dual rock tumbler, and then the Lortone QT12s. 3 brands, but 4 rock tumblers, and I use a Tumblebee. I try to use a little bit of everything, so that way I'm really familiar with the more common rock tumblers, so I'm able to help, you know, people out that ask questions, you know?
Yeah. And what kind of grit do you, or not, like, what's the brand of grit that you used?
I currently, ever since I've started, I've stuck with the Rock Shed. Their grit and polish is great.
Nice. Okay. Because I'm looking at what I'm having and I'm not too satisfied with it. So I'm looking at trying to get another kind, and I'm just like, there's other ones and I don't know which one's the best. So the Rock Shed.
Right.
Okay.
I've had really good luck too with Kingsley North in Michigan. They've got some really good stuff. Although I will say the town I just moved to in Minnesota has the Minnesota Lapidary supply, and they've got a whole bunch of grit, which I found out the last time I was in there. They actually offer a discount if you are a member of a Rock and Mineral Club. So
Wow.
I'm going to have to take advantage of that. But right now I've got so much grit because I haven't been able to tumble in a while. And I actually picked up, someone was giving away stuff for free, which is another thing. If you follow Facebook groups and stuff, every so often, like I've run into people that they decide they don't want to tumble anymore, and they have all this grit that they just want to get rid of. And I've got just so much grit now that I need to start using it.
It just blows my mind that anyone would not want to rock tumble anymore.
Right.
Like I said, I started 3 or 4 years ago, and I have tumbled rocks literally every day since.
Wow. So for me personally, I did, like, a few years ago, I stopped because I didn't like, it was just so messy in the winter, like, just, I don't know,
yeah.
having to go and dump it outside, and it's like snow up to here, and I was just like,
I struggled last winter with that a lot, but I brought the bucket inside because that's,
yeah.
K-darn 89 cannot stop rock tumbling. The show must go on.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see if I keep it up through the winter, because I've got a lot that I want to tumble. So
yeah.
So I guess kind of going along with the tips, like we talked about kind of some of the filler and stuff. Have you made any mistakes like rock tumbling that you've discovered, like, oh shoot, like I shouldn't do that anymore, or like anything like that?
I think the biggest issue that people have with rock tumbling is they're not patient enough, especially with rotary rock tumblers. It's just a process that takes a long time. And I tell anyone that's new to rock tumbling, if you really, really want to look at them, just, take a peek in the tumbler, rinse one off. But you have to practice as much patience through that first stage until your rocks are as smooth as possible. Even if that means you're in stage 1 for a month. That stinks, but that's what you got to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Just practicing your patience, and it'll come with time the more you rock tumble, because you'll be sick of your rocks not looking good.
Right.
And And then another thing that did happen, I went through this phase for like a month where my rocks were not coming out shiny. And
yes, that's what I want to dive into.
It was because I was using too many ceramic pellets in the final stage, and it's just not getting enough motion to get a good polish. So that was a huge mistake I did, and I could not figure out for the life of me what was happening. But Sean from the Rock Shed, he said, "You're not using too many plastic pellets, are you?" And sure enough, that was the problem.
Yeah, I have noticed too that when I've done tumbling that you really need that wide range of sizes too. I've noticed that if I try to stuff it with too many large pieces, I end up getting some pits and different things too that I don't see when I use a lot more smaller stones.
Yeah, my QT12, which is a 12-pound rock tumbler made by Lortone, is not really a rock tumbler I recommend. The thing is my enemy. I love it, but I hate it because there's nothing like dumping out 12 pounds of beautiful rocks. But because it's such a big barrel, the rocks just have too much room. And by the end of it, you've got damage and half of it looks bad. The other half's beautiful. It's just not one I would recommend for everyone.
So we did have a question come through. Suze was wondering if you could mention like what you think is the best type of rock to tumble. She said her son was given a tumbler for a Christmas gift.
So if you are new to rock tumbling, it's going to be really tempting to tumble things like fluorite because it's beautiful. You're going to want to, here's what I always tell people, go on Google and you're going to Google search Mohs hardness scale mineral list and then hit images. And this image is going to pop up and it's going to have all the common materials listed. And it's going to tell you on a scale of 1 to 10 how hard each different mineral or rock is. So 1 would be the softest, 10 would be the hardest. You're going to want to stay, in the 7 to 8 range. So agates, jasper, petrified wood, all of these are the things I most frequently tumble. Materials like mookaite, polychrome, all of that would be, polychrome is probably my number 1 pick for someone new to rock tumbling. That would be a great one to start with.
I'm not sure. Where's quartz on the Mohs scale? Would you recommend?
It gets like
I think it's a 7. Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So like fluorite is going to be a 4, and it does not do well in a rope. They'll just, by the end of it, they're beaten up and they don't look good. So, I haven't gotten a vibratory tumbler yet because I hear they're loud and I really don't have the space for it. But maybe it would be more appropriate to tumble fluorite in a vibratory tumbler. Ben, you do rock tumble? Do you own a vibratory tumbler?
No, I just have the rotating one. And I will say to anyone that's like concerned, because I've seen a lot of people that like on Facebook, they'll ask about it and they'll say, like how much noise does it make? I've used the rotating tumbler in 3 different apartments, I think. No one's ever complained about anything. If you put it in like a separate room or off, somewhere, it just kind of sounds like a light rain almost. If you're like kind of, if it's
like
around
rain music. Yeah.
So it's
white noise,
really not that loud because it's a rubber barrel. And so that really dampens a lot of it. I know some people, they'll get like I think it's like National Geographic has like a plastic one or something. And those are very dangerous because they can break. And I actually had a friend who bought a rock tumbler for one of their kids, and it was one of the really cheap ones, and it busted during its cycle and got grit and things everywhere. So make sure if you are interested in it, like definitely get something that's a little bit more money. But like the lower tones, like I'm not sure, like I guess that's another good question. Like what kind of maintenance have you had to do? Because from what I've heard from a lot of people, the lower tones, if you take care of them, they will last forever.
Yeah, I'm still using the same 33B I've been using. I think it was my second rock tumbler, definitely a trusty rock tumbler. I think I may have had to replace the belt one time now. I had mentioned a Chicago Electric, and this is a rock tumbler I've always used because you can find them at Harbor Freight, but I have had a lot of trouble with it. They will flat out stop working. So if that is the best option for someone, I always tell them, make sure you get the warranty, get the 2-year warranty if you have the money to, because, if anything happens with your rock tumbler, they will give you a brand new rock tumbler. But nice. I think Tumblebee is my recommendation for someone wanting to start out rock tumbling with their child. I taught my 5-year-old with Tumblebee, and it is, as far as I'm aware, the only rock tumbler on the market that does not get like hot to the touch. And I just think it's such a great, safe option. Tumblebee, I would think it was 2 summers ago, actually sponsored a lapidary class that I did for children at a place called Ruby Studio in Lawrenceville, Illinois. They provided rock tumblers for all the kids. It was just wonderful. And they did. Well, not each kid, but like, there's kids per tumbler. So, and it was a
that's
good sized
cool.
class. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So if anyone is wondering, their website is tumble-bee.com. They've got they're similarly priced to Lure Tones. So they're a little bit on the, I don't want to say expensive end, because to me, paying $100 for a rock tumbler that'll last you 8+ years is not that expensive. Especially if you buy like a $50 Harbor Freight one, you got to replace it twice. That right there is the cost.
Right.
But they're a little bit more similar to like the cost of Lure Tone. But yeah, no, that's great. I will say too, speaking about kids and rock tumblers too, there's a lot of really good like Facebook groups out there too. If anyone is interested in kind of helping some of the special needs people too, there's actually a Facebook group called Rock Tumblers for Autism, I think it is. And it helps people with autism get into rock tumbling. If anyone's interested in that, I've been involved in the group for a little while. So
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool resources, and Facebook is a really great way too to kind of pair people with sending rocks and things like that too. But yeah, no, that's really great. I was actually going to ask you about the Ruby Studio thing, because I was sort of looking at them a little bit. They look like they're mainly focused on like music, but they do some kind of art stuff. So how did that happen where you were like teaching classes?
So this is actually a family member of mine, and she opened a music studio. I don't want to say for sure what year, but they just did a summer shine camp, and they had several different subjects, classes, and she asked me to teach a class on lapidary, and I think it was a hit. All the kids really enjoyed it, and they loved taking all their rocks home at the end. And later on, I saw that one of my students, we're talking like a year later, did a 4-H project, and it was rocks. I'm like, yes! Yeah. So I feel like, I planted a seed in that child, because here it is a year later. And, it's so important to me to get our youth interested. They're the future of all of it.
Yeah, yes, I completely agree. So your kids enjoy doing this with you?
Yeah, not as much as I hope they would, but maybe one day. They do enjoy it. Actually, my daughter wanted to go to Haunted Ridge for her birthday. That's why we got to go there.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
But none of them are super into it, but they like rocks.
Yeah.
So
especially when like mom loves it. Sometimes it's like, I don't know how old your kids are, but if mom likes it, if they're teenagers, then it's not cool. So what were you going to say, Ben?
So I guess so. I was kind of looking through some of your old videos, because I'd seen some of them. But the one I hadn't seen until today, you mentioned sort of, I guess, like some of your journey where you said that you started like your business with like $500, and that you actually like sold off your collection to like fund this. I guess, could you kind of talk like what made you decide that this is what you wanted to do, and then just like jump into it like, feet first, like I'm going to just go all in?
Honestly, it was wanting to be able to sell the cabochons that I was making. It kind of went from me just rock tumbling and making cabochons to everyone wanting to buy them and me needing to do it legally. And then, it just kind of grew from there. I think I invested a lot of time into my TikTok, and I grew my following well over 300,000. And I noticed that my views were going down, and I didn't know why. So I started, exploring other apps. And then I also decided I'm not letting this work go to waste. And I got the guts to file my LLC, I believe in 2001. And then I was scared for 7 months and didn't do a thing with it. And finally got in touch with the right people to help me get it going, and it's just been great. And I had already made so many wonderful friends on TikTok, and they've just all been more than happy to support me. And I've brought them along on the journey from the start, and they get to kind of sit back and watch me go through the journey of learning how to own a business. I waitressed from 16 to 27, and I was that type that was always scared to try new things. And this is where it comes back to me saying, buying that rock tumbler, I cannot tell you what it did for me to find my community. I just started thriving ever since. It's absolutely amazing the things I have done over the last 3 years. Even, when it came down to me getting a sponsorship from Cab King, when you haven't worked around any kind of equipment or used saws, that is very intimidating. It's very intimidating, especially when you don't have anyone to teach you how to do it. And like I said, there's no one in my area to teach me. So,
Wow.
when you're dealing with saws, you got fast wheels spinning close to your face. It can be intimidating. And, I put that machine together myself, and I learned how to cab all by myself from one YouTube video.
That's incredible. I love that. That is absolutely incredible.
So going with that, so a couple things. The first thing is, if people want to buy some of your cabochons and things, where can they do that?
So I have started an Instagram. I do have one on Facebook, though I'm currently not doing anything with the Facebook. If you go to the crystal.cellar, the crystal.cellar, you can buy cabochons there through PM, but the majority of my sales for the moment are done through lives, because that honestly keeps me so busy that I have not been able to do a website or anything like that yet.
Are you talking about Facebook Lives or Instagram Lives or
TikTok actually?
Oh,
yeah.
TikTok. Okay.
I do on Instagram every once in a while, but more frequently TikTok, just because that's where my larger following is. So.
Okay, and just to remind people, it's KDarn89 is across. I think it's everything: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Yep.
And it's all inside of the link of the show as well.
Yeah, I do try to keep most of my business on Instagram, especially to the crystal.cellar, because I just don't want to spam people that are following me for lapidary content with sales posts and things,
Yeah. That's
and then, so I guess the second thing, so you talked about the Cab King. You had sent some videos too of
wait, I wanted to go back to the Cab King. How did you get sponsored by? Yeah, how did you get sponsored by them?
So I had, I think, grown my following, and I had built a really nice community, and I had always wanted to learn how to cab. But I'm a mom of 4, so something like a cabbing machine is going to be the last priority when it comes to like financial stuff. And I had taken this position where I was teaching the community how to rock tumble, and I wanted the challenge of teaching and sharing my journey with cabbing. And I reached out to multiple companies. Some of them set up meetings with me and stood me up, and Cab King was like, come on. And they sent me a cabbing machine, and they have, I hold that company so close, endears my heart. That was
that's incredible.
A really big accomplishment for me, and I've just been so proud to represent them in any way I can, and I hope I've made them proud. And can't say enough good things about that company, just even how they handled their business, because I know many people that have bought from them, and they're just
and you have a discount too available if people want to purchase, correct?
Yes, I do.
And that's also noted in the show. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, we do have a link to receive a discount on a Cab King through Kelsey.
Yes, and I think that code is KD89. I actually have a high-tech diamond one too, but I don't think I have it posted anywhere. Because high-tech diamond and Cab King are actually sister companies, along with Tumblebee.
Oh,
And
okay, nice.
yeah.
And Ben, you were going to show a video?
Yeah, I guess you had sent a few videos. Is there any like particular one that you want to show right now, or should I just pick one? Hello?
I can hear you, Ben.
Oh, okay. Does it matter which video that we show?
Oh, you were asking me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
You can do. How about the cabochon one first? This is just a video of a recent cab that I made. My current obsession when it comes to lapidary is agate. 100% banded agate. I cannot get enough of it. So in the little bit of time that I do have to work on lapidary, because at the moment I am so busy, it's going to almost always be an agate.
So gorgeous. Oh my God.
And this was, I'm guessing this wasn't something that you found then, or did you find this?
No, I did not find this. No, this is I do believe this is a Mexican agate. One of my good friends, Bill Gommer, hooked me up with that material, and that agate has the most beautiful platelets throughout the banding.
It is gorgeous. And now let me ask, on the Cab King, like just that specific cabochon, how long did it take you to make?
It really depends on how, what details you're going to put into your cabochon, but that one probably took me about 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
Really?
No more than an hour. Yeah.
Wow. Do you have like step-by-step videos to explain how to do this, or I know you got a lot of videos. I just didn't know if you had kind of show someone how to do it.
I do believe I do on TikTok.
Okay.
Cool. TikTok got the best of me. They got to see me start from the very beginning and all my how-tos, and you might have to dig a little deep on TikTok, because I used to post a lot, but the info is there for sure.
And I know that you have like separate like kind of categories, like in the top, like to pick from. So I'm definitely gonna, because now every time I watch you, I guess, come on, like I want to do that too.
I really need to redo that. If you're talking about the how to rock tumble videos, because my technique has changed a lot since I made those, but those techniques will still get you good results.
So I guess, so you mentioned how like you started like, I guess, collecting rocks as a kid, and then you went to tumblers, and like, how did you make the jump then to doing like lapidary and all the cabochons? Like, was that something that you just saw other people doing and you're interested in, or is it something that you always wanted to do?
I've wanted to rock tumble for a very long time, but again, I think TikTok inspired me to get the rock tumbler, and then Facebook groups, like you said, Ben. There's wonderful Facebook groups that were so helpful with all my questions to like at least get me started on the right foot,
Yeah.
Right.
And then you just grew kind of from there. I'm so impressed that you literally just like taught yourself. Like, that's just impressive.
I know. I look back and I just cannot believe that I'm just a different person than I was even 5 years ago.
How you said like it would be intimidating because you've got everything's spinning fast, this big machine. That's how I would be looking at it, like, oh my gosh, this is
or my first time using a trim saw. I had never used any type of saw prior to that, so
that's so cool.
So we did have a couple I guess comments and questions things too. So I know earlier we mentioned about Southern Illinois and the fluorite, and I know just a little bit north, there's some, there's the classic Mason Creek fossils. Have you done any of these? No, number one billiard is mentioning Mason Creek, but also the Calamine trilobites from Grafton.
I've never even heard of them, to be honest. Well, I know what they are, but I didn't know they were in Illinois. So I'd love to hear more on that.
I will
Message
say,
me.
so I was in Chicago for like three years or so. And I knew people that went to find Mason Creek fossils. Unless you know of an area, it's like very hard to find them because there is a public area, but you can't dig. So everything gets so picked over that you can't find anything. And it's also in an area that they flooded for, I think it's like a power plant or something or wastewater plant that they've like kind of flooded different areas. And so it's very hard to even get to certain areas. So I know for Mason Creek fossils, at least, they're very hard to get. And then if you do get Mason Creek fossils, just something I've learned from people when I was in Chicago is you don't cut them. You actually do a freeze thaw method where some people say it takes a year, but you put them in the freezer, let them freeze, and then you take them out, maybe heat them up slightly, and then you put them back in the freezer, and you do that just to naturally have them break along where the fossils are.
I think I have seen my friend rock hunter Mark do that, and he lives in Missouri, and he finds a lot of great fossils, and I think I've seen him do that technique that you're talking about.
Okay. And then we did have one other question too about if you've done any chain coral from the Great Lakes.
As far as cabbing, or have I found it? I have cabbed some of the fossils that I've found, and Ben, I think with fossils and maybe some bone, you do have to be a little careful because when it comes to cabbing, you do have water that comes down on the wheels to keep rock dust down because you don't want to breathe in rock dust. But I do know that I believe there are some fossils that actually kind of put like a gas into the air, so you do have to be careful about that. Would you know what I'm talking about, Ben?
Yeah, well,
I smelt it before. I know that for a fact.
And it can be dangerous. So you do have to know what you're doing when it comes to fossils, for sure.
Yeah, and even just silica dust, like OSHA's been big
for
on
sure.
Silica dust now recently too. There was, I wish I remembered it, but it was a few years ago. There was actually an article in one of the I think it was the American Federation, or not the American Federation, the Midwest Federation of Mineralogical Societies. So you have your club, and then like we were part of the Midwest, and they put out some articles every month or couple months, and there was someone in there that actually did like a safety article, and they mentioned that they just felt like they were too cool or they didn't think too much about not wearing a respirator while they were doing a bunch of cabbing, and they ended up getting the silicosis of the lungs, which is like asbestosis with asbestos, but instead of asbestos, you got silica that gets into your lungs, and then because it's, I mentioned it earlier on the podcast, but quartz is like the cockroach of minerals because it just won't die. That's what all your sand turns into. It's all the quartz. So if you get that into your lungs can't get rid of the quartz. And so
it's like my Cab King has a wonderful water system that is great at keeping the dust down. But anyone who is starting out cabbing, it's kind of a debated subject. Anyone who is starting out cabbing, though, I definitely recommend that they wear some kind of protective mask for their face. But I was thinking that there is something, some kind of gas that can be released from fossils that is not just the normal, like exposure type stuff. Like it can make you sick quick.
Well, there are, I don't know about fossils per se. I do know in certain, I think limestones and dolomites, you can get hydrogen sulfide gas. So I actually had to deal with this when I worked in the oil field where in the lesser amounts, it'll smell like rotten eggs. But there actually is a point where the hydrogen sulfide actually gets to be too much where you don't smell it. You also get what's called olfactory fatigue, which is where after you smell it for a while, you kind of get used to it and then you don't smell it. And obviously doing things on a cab, you're probably not getting enough to where you're going to like pass out. But that's just something to keep in mind. I guess we'll do. And then I know I even saw one of your videos too, where you mentioned like some of I guess it's important to know like what you're cutting and what might the dangers be. Cause I did see like you had one where you mentioned about malachite.
Yeah. So with something like malachite, I'm going to even wear gloves because I don't know. Malachite's just known as one of those especially toxic minerals, and you don't know what all is going to be absorbed through your skin. So if I'm going to be cutting anything like malachite or chrysocolla or something that I know to be especially, toxic, I'm going to wear gloves as well.
That makes
That's
sense.
just,
I mean, you got to be safe.
I don't know if that's what all lapidary artists do, but I have anxiety, so healthy anxiety, so I wear gloves.
Yeah. No,
I have
and
a
it's
question about.
it's I was just gonna say it's all about just like knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Like whenever I teach kids about rocks, I usually have a piece of galena, and I always tell them this does contain lead, so make sure before you go to lunch, wash your hands. You're not gonna
For
die.
sure. Yeah.
It's not gonna be anything dangerous, but just just the little things like that. Just make sure you take care of yourself.
Yeah. You don't want to ingest that. I was
Yeah.
going to ask back to tumbling. So I know a common thing, like you said, a lot of new tumblers have problems with the shine, but also I've noticed a lot of people are posting in the rock groups is like you'll have the little white specks like on there, like you're at the final stage and it's supposed to be done, and then you've got these little white specks. Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like where it's like it's kind of
it might be from tiny little.
It's like a dull. It's like a dullness with like, and it looks like powder still on them. And it's like, how do you get rid of that?
So what I think you might, I do. That's where I was going to say, I think what you're talking about could probably be resolved with a burnish, and you can use either ivory soap or borax. You don't want to use other soaps. I've always been told because there's additives and other soaps that can be harmful to your rubber barrel. I started out using ivory soap, but I found that borax works just as well, and it's actually more simple because you're not having to grind it up. But some people will use a short burnish after each stage. For me personally, I use a burnish before and after my final polish, and my results are just fine.
Okay.
Everyone after they've rock tumbled a while forms their own technique. So.
And how long do you burnish? Like, how long do you put them in there? Like, is it for a few hours, a few days?
It doesn't need any more than 24 hours. Normally, I would probably run a burnish 8 hours.
Okay.
You don't want your rocks rolling around longer than they absolutely have to, because the longer they roll around, it gives it more chance for your rocks to be damaged, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I was looking at some of your videos, and it looks like when you transfer from one stage to the next, you've got like a 5-gallon bucket with like a sieve over the top, and that's like you dump the rocks onto the sieve and clean them off. Is that what you do then to kind of clean out the rocks between each stage? Like, I guess I'm just asking because it's like each person has their own method, and so like I guess I've been super paranoid because it's been drilled into my head that like, if there's any grit that carries over from one stage to the next, you can ruin it. And so I've like, I'll do a sieve with water, and then I will like clean out the barrel super clean. And then I actually put my rocks into an ultrasonic cleaner to try to make sure I get like everything off. So like, is that like too much, or like, I guess, I don't know, like, what are your thoughts?
Again, everyone has their own techniques, and I do know people that would go and do that much, and they have wonderful results. I'm just kind of, go with the flow. I just don't get into it that deeply, and I feel like my results are pretty good. And I've never, had cross contamination when it comes to rock tumbling, so I've never had that issue. And I do scrub out my barrel before each stage, and I will rinse my rocks really well. But that's literally all I do. And then the burnish, of course.
Right. And then I guess the big question is, what do you do with your like spent grit when you're done with it? Because I know everyone's been told, do not put it down your sink drain because it'll harm your sink drain.
Absolutely. So like you said, I use a 5-gallon bucket, and it just sits outside, and as it sits, all the grit will sink to the bottom, and then I will pour off the water off the top, and then I eventually just dump all of that into my garbage receptacle, so my garbage can. So, it's pretty easy to dispose of. Definitely don't put it down your sink.
Right.
I just
That's
dump mine like underneath my back patio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you were to if you stop your rock tumbler for any amount of time, you'll see that the grit just settles, and it's almost like quicksand. It's just hard to even scoop through. You definitely don't want that to happen in your drains.
Yeah, no, that would be bad.
We did have one question just come through from Amanda asking about the white spots that you had mentioned. Or were you talking about bruisings of the rocks? I don't know if she meant like pitting
that could be it too.
No, it was just like it's almost like that the final stage grit, like it just like it's like a powdery on top of the rock.
Like a soap scum kind of.
Yes, it's like yeah, and I'm like, why is this here? And so I'm like, am I not using
I think a burnish.
Like, okay,
A burnish should definitely help.
Okay. I've got some burnishing right now, so I'm like, when we get off tonight, I'm gonna go check.
Yeah, I think it should do well.
All right, I have 4 questions. They're all about your favorite rock or mineral.
Ooh.
And I want to know, all right, the first question is your favorite rock or mineral to tumble.
Agate.
Is there any particular agate or just agates in general?
Oh, all of them. I love them all.
Okay.
Joshua Ritter and Gene from the Gem Shop got Malawi agates into the U.S. They work together. I don't know if you guys know who the Gem Shop is, but I got some of those, and something about the first couple times I cut those just got me hooked. And it seems like now all I want to do is tumble, cab, cut, agate.
Yeah. I will say I've actually bought some stuff from Josh Ritter. If anyone's interested, it's the agate.
He's
bag.
Great.
Yeah, I've actually got some because he's from Germany, so I've got some cool German agates from him too.
Yes, I recently got some Bulgarian agate, which I don't think I have any nearby. That's just incredible. It's green and yellow. I was asking him how I should say this because the spelling, it could be said multiple ways. Orpheus agate, I think, and I'm just hooked. It's green and yellow and moss agate, and they have the prettiest banded borders, and then it's like, clear chalcedony with moss in the center, and it's just beautiful. He, has really introduced me some beautiful new material. Diving deep into the agate world is a new thing for me. So I've been learning a lot from his YouTube videos as well.
Oh, okay. All right. So then my next one, your favorite rock or mineral to cab?
Agate.
Yeah. All right. So we got agates and agates. And then what's your favorite rock or mineral for like a display or like the raw version of it?
So my 2 favorite things included quartz and labradorite, for sure. I can't get enough of labradorite or any kind of inclusions in quartz. It just fascinates me.
It's interesting you mentioned that too. It just reminded me. I'm actually trying to plan a trip because I usually do a vacation every year. And I was actually looking at going to Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada, which I found that labradorite was named because it was found in Labrador. And I found an article recently where there was actually someone who has, they do lapidary and things in Labrador, and they were very upset because a lot of the rock shops are bringing in labradorite from like Madagascar, and they're not sourcing it from Canada, which just seems like a sin to have it where it's named for your place and you're bringing it in from somewhere else.
Yeah. Yep.
But
I don't
okay.
know if this is true. Maybe you can confirm, Ben, but I've always been told that do know people that have found pieces of raw labradorite around the Great Lakes. And I had been told that when the Great Lakes were formed, that glaciers or whatever kind of brought a little bit of labradorite down into the Great Lakes. Have you heard anything about that?
I did research a little bit. I haven't been able to find anything because I've heard people say in different parts of Canada they have found it. But I don't fully know. It's the Great Lakes are very odd because like Lake Superior, for anyone that doesn't know, Lake Superior formed from a failed rift system. So when Lake Superior was forming 1 billion years ago, the Earth was actually splitting apart.
Oh,
This is
okay.
actually what's happening right now in the African Great Lakes. So, like Lake Malawi in Africa is actually part because it's literally splitting apart.
Mm-hmm.
And then for some reason, it just turned off in America. It just stopped. So, and it's you can even see it almost down towards the Twin Cities. There's like geomagnetic anomalies and things that they can actually see. The crust was splitting and it just kind of stopped. But as part of that splitting, then you have all this volcanism, which then forms the volcanic rocks that the Lake Superior agates form in. And so there's just a lot of really odd, like geological things going on because you have 1 billion years of this volcanism and different geological processes going on. And then you've got all of the like different orogenies. And then also you've got probably one of the biggest meteorite impacts in the Sudbury meteorite impact. So there's so much interesting things going on. And then you've got the glaciers just going on. We're just going to shovel all this stuff in, in different parts too. So
that part's true then. That part about the glaciers possibly bringing some labradorite down can be true because I do know multiple people that have found little chunks of labradorite. Now I can't say which lake it was in, but I think that would be cool to find.
There's definitely labradorite in New York as well. So,
yes, I've heard that.
There's a Great Lake there too. So the Great Lakes state. So there's definitely labradorite. Whether which state has, I know for sure New York does. So, but as terms of like on the beach, I know that there's like an actual like deposit in New York. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then my last fourth and final one. What is your favorite rock or mineral that you have collected?
Fluorite.
And are you talking about Illinois fluorite, or are you talking about? Okay.
Yes. As I was saying, there's not a whole lot in Illinois to rockhound for, so I've picked a lot of gravel. I hop down right into creeks. I don't know if this is for every state, but in Illinois, creeks are public waterways. So, if it's got like a bridge, like a highway bridge over it, there's a good chance that's a public waterway. I mean, I'm not telling you to go out into the country and go get in someone's creek. That's not what I'm saying. Be careful about how you do it. But that's where I've spent a lot of my time rockhounding, gravel, creeks and things like that. And because I am so close to the fluorite mines, fluorspar mines in southern Illinois, I think some of it has been brought up in the form of gravel or rock for whatever reason. And I found that, and I found some actually really beautiful pieces. And then I did get to go down to southern Illinois, where the fluorite mines are. And I have rockhounded in that area too. So that was really fun. But yeah, I got to represent fluorite because I live in the fluorite state. That's definitely my favorite that I found, but I really haven't had the opportunity to rockhound for much more than that. So that may change, but I think I'll always try to represent, Illinois fluorite.
Yeah, I will say too, with like, especially the Illinois fluorite too, make sure you check like the property ownership. I actually went to Southern Illinois and did some collecting at some of the fluorite mines, like the Annabelle Lee mine and even the Minerva mine. And I went with a group, and then I actually found out a couple years ago that they have like some of them have changed ownerships, and now
they have
they will not let anyone on. Some of them are even being patrolled by like the sheriff. So like
Yes.
really make sure you like stay up to date on those types of things, because sometimes
Absolutely. And I can confirm this too. And a little over a year ago, I actually got to go down to Southern Illinois, and I met the owners of the only active fluorspar mine in that area, I believe. And he confirmed, do not go there. Well, it's not his, but he said, don't go there. So listen to me, don't go there.
Yeah, and even down there, it's not even so much, I mean, the landowners, I mean, the actual mineral rights to the people who own the minerals, because that doesn't always, down in Southern Illinois, it isn't always the landowner who owns the mineral rights. So it's
Yeah.
even if you get permission from the landowner, you have to make sure that the mineral rights are actually the landowners as well. So it definitely gets super tricky down there, and they will meet you with guns down there.
They will. That's what I, that's why I was trying to say without saying, they will.
They will. Yep.
So while you were down there, did you go just across the border to Kentucky and go to the Benny Clement Mineral Museum?
No, I wanted to, but I just had a full day anyways. And then, like I said, I got to meet the owner of the active fluorspar mine there, and listening to his stories, I could have sat there for hours upon hours. He's been mining fluorite for a long time, and he taught me how to make octahedrals out of fluorite with a chisel, which I also don't recommend trying, because he's just a pro at it. It makes it look like it's so simple, but I've tried and I still cannot do that.
Yeah, I had that same experience too. We ran into someone that could do that, and they just go, "Oh, here's some fluorite," and they go, "Chip, chip, 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 chip. Here you go," and it makes it look so easy. But yeah, I would recommend the next time you're down in that area, take the ferry across to Kentucky and the Benny Clement. They've got a really cool fluorescent mineral display as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I wish I would have thought to grab, because while I was there visiting, I got the opportunity to buy a couple fluorite specimens from them, and they're special and beautiful.
Yes.
Makes me proud to live in Illinois, knowing that that beautiful fluorite's coming from my state, even though I'm not getting to hound for it, really. I'm getting scraps if I find it.
Yeah. So I saw in one of your videos, you mentioned kind of some of your milestones that you've reached. And you mentioned like you were finally able to get amethyst cathedrals. So
yes,
I was just thinking, like, I guess, what is like your next milestone that you're like trying to reach?
An employee, so I can get back to Lapidary, because I miss it so much. I really never, once things took off with Lapidary on social media, I really expected that was what I was going to be doing forever. I thought that was it. And then, with things not going how I expected them to on TikTok, I was trying to think of a plan B, but now I found that I really love selling crystals as well. I'm a little picky because I'm a lapidary artist and I know what a good polished rock looks like. Yeah, a lot of stuff that I buy is polished up, so that can be a challenge, being a lapidary artist and getting palm stones and spears and wanting to fix everything, and it's just you can't. But yeah, I forget where I was going with all that, but
well, I do want to quick point out too, the mineral monsters did say to go collect some wolfenite in Arizona.
I absolutely want to do that. Another big goal would, hire an employee so I can get back to Lapidary, because I miss it so much. But it just makes that time that I get on my calving machine, just calving therapy.
Yeah.
Love it. And I definitely want to get back to Lapidary. Another big goal is to reclaim my home. Because between the Lapidary and the business, I have no personal space left. So, I'm wanting to get a new space that people can also visit. Another thing I want to do is connect with my community, those close to me, and also, I am a member of the Evansville Lapidary Society, and I think that I haven't got to, be there often, but I would love to contribute to Evansville Lapidary Society more because our area really doesn't have anything to offer. That's about the closest thing to me, which Evansville, Indiana is over an hour from me, but it's 100% worth the drive because the people there, if you have a lapidary club within driving distance, take advantage of it, join it. It's a small membership per year, and the people there, their brains are just full of knowledge that they'd be so happy to share with you. It's one of the best resources when it comes to, wanting to learn lapidary. Find a lapidary club. If you've got a big city near you, search that and start there. I want to contribute more to my lapidary club in the future too. Definitely getting back to my roots of lapidary is a huge goal for me. Once I get an employee and have some help managing everything, that'll be a big goal.
Wow, it's just
Great.
incredible just to listen to your story. Like you're talking about having an employee, and 3 years ago you started off doing
Yeah.
TikTok videos, and
And at the time, I was
incredible.
a stay-at-home mom, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a waitress, but I did not feel fulfilled by my job. And, ever since I found my community and helping people, getting to work with all those children that summer, I feel so fulfilled, and it's just where I should have been all along. I'm just so glad to be here now,
Yeah.
and feel like I'm thriving and offering something to the world,
It's a
been
good
great.
feeling.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we sort of wrap up in a bit here too, you did send some more videos, so I just want to throw up some more videos here. So I can mute that. So I guess what was this? Is this one of the Malawi agates or?
It sure is, yes. And I was so impressed with the bright colors inside the Malawi agates, and I think that's what got me hooked on them.
Okay.
That's what I've been spending a lot of time doing. If I have time for lapidary, I cannot stop cutting agates. It's like opening Christmas presents. Sometimes they're not pretty, but a lot of times they're just so beautiful.
And what was
Oh,
what was
yeah.
this one here?
That is a Koimedo. It's a pseudomorph though. And then
Okay.
that one is another Malawi.
So pretty.
Yeah.
Wow. And I think we had one more. Let's see.
Oh, yes. I really loved this one.
Yeah, it's got a nice little like geode pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of agate is that?
I'm thinking that might have been a type of agate from Argentina. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. I'm not sure on that one, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, no, those are all great. And then were those all from your TikTok, or like where did those videos come from?
Yeah, a lot of them are on my TikTok, but they're on all my social medias. I'll share that to YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.
Okay, yeah. So just a reminder: K-Darn on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
I see a question from Mineral Monsters, who I actually met on TikTok, and they are wonderful, just the best hearts. I love that family so much. Am I going to Tucson? This is very hard for me to do. I'm a mom of 4. It's not easy for mom to be away very long, and Tucson's very far away. This is like a major goal, another major goal for me. Tucson, I might cry if I ever make it to Tucson, but as my business grows and everything, this is becoming something that is actually achievable. So hopefully in the near future, I will be at Tucson, and I hope to meet everyone there.
I'm just going through the questions here.
Yeah. So Wayne actually said nice cuts. That actually was something I was going to ask you about, and I actually forgot until right now. I've talked to some people about this, so I'm curious about your thoughts on this. How do you decide how to cut like an agate nodule? Like, do you try to go
Yes.
like some people have said like you go the longest cut, like whatever's gonna be the longest cut? Do you like look for some kind of like that'll tell you like which way? Like, how do you decide how to or like where to
Um,
cut?
on some agates, there's something called a window that can kind of give you a good idea of where you need to cut. But I bet that some of my cuts make the agate experts cringe. It's really not something that I'm super knowledgeable about yet. But yeah, I know that there are windows that can kind of give you a little view of maybe which way you should cut and things like that.
I've always wondered that too, Ben, like which way to cut. Because I've got agates and I cut them and I cut them the wrong way. And then the banding is like all messed up. And I'm like, well, how would I know which way to start? So when you said to go the long way, that does make sense. So
Yeah.
that's something that I need to try the next time. Because I always, whenever I cut it, I cut like I don't cut where you can see a window. I cut through it and it looks messed up.
All right. Well, I'm not sure I've seen any other questions.
You've got a lot of people here supporting you, Kelsey. This is beautiful.
I can't wait to. Will I be able to like watch a replay and see the comments?
Oh yes, yes.
Cool.
We keep the live stream on our page. I usually take it down after like a day or two, but the show will always be like on YouTube. But as far as this live with the comments, it'll be up at least 24 to 48 hours. So you'll be able to respond to them and if there's like other things to do. So yeah, absolutely.
I can't wait. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and watching.
And Wayne said to cut 100 onions so you know how to cut one agate.
Really? Like, is that meaning like just for like you want to go with the line? I still don't even with that. I'm like, I know how an onion is, and I've cut a lot of onions. I still can't cut an agate right.
Patty says my trash pandas are here. Hi
guys! I was wondering what that meant.
Oh my gosh, this is so funny. So as I was telling you guys, because I'm a lapidary artist, I'm very picky about the items that I get for my business. And sometimes the quality I hate it. And I don't want to sell it to my customers. And I had this bin of items that I did not want to sell to my customers. Raccoons are one of my favorite animals. And I had told them about that bin and they demanded I sell that in the live. So I did for like a really cheap price. And I just started calling them my trash pandas because raccoons like trash and this is considered trash. And it's just stuck now. They're all my trash pandas.
That's funny.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So if anyone has any other questions, they can, if they want to go ahead and ask, and because otherwise we'll get started on wrapping up. Let's see. I think we went through everything.
Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, so our next episode, which I've already seen a lot of people very interested in this. Our next episode is going to be on Wednesday, August 23rd at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And we are going to have Dustin Twist, who is a Native American artist who actually uses the Fairburn agates to incorporate in with his artwork. So we'll talk a lot with him about sort of his artwork and inspiration and sort of how he got into this and, looking for Fairburns and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited to speak with him. His artwork is incredible. So I'm interested in learning about his story and the connection with agates and Native American culture. So it'll be a really nice show.
Yeah, so tune in Facebook and YouTube at 9 o'clock on August 23rd.
Yes. Good night, everyone. Peace out. Thank you, Kelsey.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you, Kelsey. Bye, everyone.